Greetings from Dubai. There's so much business you could do here in Dubai. It's no wonder everyone's flocking to it. I'm in the middle of buying a video production company. This particular business is owner-operated. It has a founder who has a very specialized skill set, especially when it comes to creative direction. This business was SBA approved, and the founder is willing to give 50% financing. The bank is valuing this business for twice as much as what it really is, at least in my mind. If I keep the cash flows the same and factor in how much I have to pay someone to operate this business, it's not worth $1 million, it's worth half. Let's get onto the financial structure. So you have a business that, let's say, is $1 million, and you want to put down less than 10%. So what can you do? There's a mechanism called a standby seller note. What that means is, as a buyer, you're paying 0 payments for 24 months for a portion of that note. And you have a cooperative seller that's willing to give seller financing. You can structure the seller financing where you're putting less than 10% down and it's still going to get approved by the SBA. The SBA will see this as a business that still has equity. But first, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, business acquisitions, or just leveling up your financial game, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you never miss a video. All right, let's dive in. Let's follow this process along. If you were just to go with a straight seller note, you would be paying principal and interest payments for 10 years. You'd still have to put down 10%. Now, with a standby note, you can break up a portion of that seller note, make no payments for 24 months, still get in for less than 10% out of pocket, then structure the remainder as just a straight seller note. In my particular case, I saw this business as valued really as $500,000 because of the operator I had to put in. The banks are willing to finance $1 million for it, and I'm willing to put up $50,000 because I see it as a $500,000 business, not $1 million. So what I'm doing is I'm structuring it so that the 5% of the note is due 2 years from now, 2 years from the closing. Right, and no payments are made until those 24 months passed. You have $50,000 down. You have $50,000 as a standby seller note. We're down to $100,000. The owner is willing to finance up to 50% of the sale price. So that leaves us with $900,000. And what you could do is you could take a loan from the SBA for $450,000, have the seller finance a straight note for $450,000, and that could be interest only or principal and interest, or it could just be principal and no interest. Probably you'd have to consult with your tax advisor on that one, but in any case, that's what you're doing. That's how you're filling in that gap. $50,000 as a standby note and $500,000 as an SBA loan. What you're going to have with that is $1 million business for $50,000. If you want to take it one step further, I'm tapping my business credit line to buy this business, so I'm coming in 0 down. I'm just paying the closing costs, which are $10,000 to $15,000. This business with an operator produces anywhere between $160,000 to $200,000 in free cash flow every year. So what I plan to do is, once I get in, I'm going to streamline it. I'm going to see what I could do about optimizing it. I'm going to bring in a creative strategist into this business, promote this creative strategist as the operator, and that's it. I now have a video production company with a creative strategist that I injected in there. The creative strategist transitions in. The seller transitions out in an orderly manner. The seller gets paid his compensation in the form of a loan. Now, what struck me about this deal is the seller is willing to give 50% financing, which is unusual. Typically, it's about 30%. Typically, if you approach them and start trying to get a little creative with it, they'll either get lost, their eyes will glaze over. They might not be interested because it's overly complicated. But this seller, he struck me as knowing the reality of this. He struck me as knowing what the real deal is with this company, because he's the operator and he knows you can't just get an operator coming in there. On top of that, he structured his compensation as pretty much half W2 earnings, half distribution, right? So on the W2 earnings, he's paying a much higher tax rate than if he were to get on distribution. Now, if the $500,000 is financed, he's getting his compensation in the form of a loan repayment. All right, so he's only paying taxes on the interest that he charges, just the interest, nothing else. It's really a win-win for him. It's a very tax-efficient way of him to sell the business, classify these payments as a loan repayment, and he's going to stay on to oversee it and assist with the transition, which is common. I recently bought a business, and many of you that have bought businesses before, you'll see the owner step in to consult. He'll step in to oversee the business while there's this transition. I mean, some of them might want to take on consulting fees, some of them might even want to take wages. It's not the norm, but typically when you're selling a business, you want to stay on. You want to stay on to consult. It makes sense for this seller to take his compensation in the form of a seller note, in the form of interest and principal payments. And we can structure it that way. We just structure it in the way where he makes his 6 figures, whatever he was making, if they come in the form of loan repayments. It's a very sort of efficient way of doing things. I'm certainly happy with it because I just happen to disagree with the banks. I don't see the valuation here. And apparently it's undervalued, but for the fact I have to bring in an operator. Once we get that in, it'll basically help support my other portfolio of businesses, because now I have a video production company. I have a creative strategist in there running things. It just makes things that much easier, that much more cost effective. And plus I add about $160,000 a year to my free cash flow. So that works out. Let me know your thoughts. I'm really curious to see who here has heard of standby notes to reduce your down payment on your SBA loan. Because everywhere you go, you see SBA loans are 10% down. Yes, they have to be 10%. It doesn't have to be in cash. And then over here, it's sort of in the form of debt that's deferred for 2 years. And that's the key difference. Anyway, let me know what you think about the information, this topic, this video. Comment below. I'd really like to hear your input on this. And stay tuned for my next video.